Hey guys, and welcome. I'm Enigmius, and this is World of Tanks. I just started playing this game 3 or 4 days ago. I'm addicted. I'm pretty sure I am officially addicted. We're going to do a bit of a series on this. Not necessarily a long one, depending upon user feedback. If nobody seems to like it, we'll just do 2 or 3. And if people are kind of digging it, then we can do like a highlight reel kind of thing involving the shooting of tanks and the exploding of tanks, quite often my tank being the tank that explodes. For this episode, we're just going to get started with the very basics, what it is, kind of the basics of how it works, and then we're going to take this behemoth that you see in front of you out into the field, and I guarantee you something will explode. Now, the whole idea here is that it's teams of tanks fighting one another. It's not nation versus nation. It's not, you don't have to ally with a particular nation and that determines who you're on a team with or anything like that. It's just, you find out what kind of tank you want to drive and you drive it and you shoot at tanks on the other team. And you get rewarded for winning, and you even get rewarded a little bit if you don't win, just so that you can continue the progression. Now, that's the one thing that I wanted to focus on today before we hop into the map. And that is the progression system. And the easiest way we can look at this one, this is a tier 5 heavy tank, which means it's basically, if you think of it in RPG-like terms, it's like a level 5. I've progressed through the tiers from 1, 2, 3, 4 to 5. And this is the tank, and you can look here. This is the research specifically for this tank, the different things that I can research and add to the tank that add to the cost as well. But, you know, you're earning currency as you go. You can see here, this is kind of what I'm looking at for my next upgrade, which is the gun. When I think of a heavy tank, I think of something that really packs a punch. And right now, being the lowest heavy tank in this sort of run of tanks, I don't really have that punch. So we're looking at that. And before I can buy this upgrade, I have to spend 4,600 experience on it, and experience is something that you earn at the end of a match. If you won and did well in the match, you'll get more experience. If you lost and just kind of got blown up right away, you'll get less, but you get some regardless. And you can see we've got another gun. This one I have. We've got turrets. I've already upgraded my turret. We've got radios that determine how far you can communicate with other tanks and get information on what enemy tanks are moving around and stuff. You got the engine, of course, which is how fast you can move. In this case, sometimes if I'm in a race with a slug, I win. Sometimes. Not all of them. And then we've got the chassis, which determines not only how fast you can rotate the tank, the whole tank, but also how much you can carry on the tank in terms of weight. And I actually had to upgrade the chassis on this tank before I could upgrade the turret because I was pretty much already at the weight capacity. And then you see down here, once I've upgraded, once I've bought this specific engine upgrade, it will allow me to buy the next tier of tank, unlock it with experience. It's quite a lot of experience, 27,000 experience that I need to unlock this tank, but that allows me to buy this tank and move up to the next tier, where I will have all kinds of new options and things that I can put on the tank. So that's the basics of the individual tank upgrades. But if we go like this and we go, let's take a look at all of the American tanks, now we can see there's a lot. So it gives you lots of room to mess around and play with different things and decide what you enjoy in terms of your role. You can have light tanks, medium tanks, heavy tanks. You can have SPGs, which are self-propelled guns, if you think in terms of artillery, with a motor and things that you can actually move around. You're not stuck in one spot firing the artillery all the time. And tank destroyers, which are kind of like big guns mounted on motorized carriages. So again, you can move around, but they don't have the armor necessarily of like a heavy tank or something. They're glass cannons might be a way to describe them depending on how it goes. In the next episode, we're going to talk about the M3 Lee because it's in a class all by itself. That should be fun. Well, the next episode, we'll talk about the M3 Lee. And you have all the different nations. You have the United States, you have British, you have German, you have Chinese. No, who is this? I don't even know. Is that Italian? Did the Italians have tanks? They had a lot of numbers. Someone's gonna flip out on me for not knowing what that is. I know how we can check. Oh, France. See, because I don't really think of France as, military kind of nation. Japan, Russia, China, all these ones down here. So pretty much the full gambit. And a lot of these, I think all of these tanks, their goal was to be historically accurate. So you can find these tanks in an encyclopedia or something, and you'll actually be able to read about what wars they fought in and what their different specifications were. So that's it. It's kind of like an RPG in that sense, in that you can progress through different tiers of tanks. You can get different kinds of tanks, decide your role in the group. And that's how we end up here. We're tier 5 out of 10 with a heavy tank, and we're going to hop into a battle. Now, I'll just point out while we're waiting here that I didn't edit that. That was a 4-second cue to get into a battle. So that's kind of cool. Now, in this particular fight, tier 5 is the highest, which I'm tier 5, which I kind of like, because sometimes I get sent in and tier 7 is the highest and I'm on the bottom, and then just everything ricochets. There's nothing I can do. So you can see in the bottom right corner, we've got a little mini map. Kind of shows you the lay of the land, so to speak. There's always at least 2 routes to the enemy base, and with the maps that you get when you just choose a random battle, it's always your goal is to drive into the heavy tank. Thanks, guy. Your goal is to either destroy all of the enemy tanks or capture their base by moving to it and surviving in a white circle long enough to capture it. Now, this tank in particular was described to me basically as a very slow medium tank. It's the way it was described in the wiki, and suggested that I play it as such, which means flanking and avoiding sort of head-to-head confrontations with the enemy heavies, because I'm usually outgunned and out-armored, and as you can see, this is full throttle in this tank. You're moving forward or you're not, and this is this tank moving forward. Now there's oh, here we go. We got danger. There he is. Yeah, he was behind cover. See, he's by all appearances a tier. No, that's a tank destroyer. God damn it! Oh no, it's a heavy.
Enemy armor is damaged.
So you can see when.
Bailout. This vehicle is heading.
He got me. He got me. That was a heavy tank, and there's that. Wow. So there was a heavy tank over there. There was a heavy tank off to the side, and there was a medium tank around here somewhere as well. Team is a little bit behind. We just lost that tank destroyer. The nice thing about this is that you're given a bunch of tier 1 tanks when you create your account. You just sign in, and here's all the different tanks, 1 tank from each nation that you can mess around with and experiment with. And if you get into a situation like this where it could take, 5-10 minutes for this fight to end, you can just go back to your garage. You can pick a different tank, and let's go for the tier 3, I think. This is a Japanese light tank. It's a tier 3. And we can join a battle with this guy. When the other battle ends, we'll get whatever reward we were going to get from the battle where we had our heavy tank that just got blown up. So you're not sitting around twiddling your thumbs waiting for battles to end. The other option, which we will take a look at with this fight coming up, is there's a spectator mode. So you can cycle around the viewpoints of the other different living enemy or friendly tanks on your team and watch the match proceed from their point of view, which is kind of neat. It's a little bit entertaining. But if you're just kind of wanting to shoot tanks and you don't want to wait for 10 minutes when your tank gets blown up early in a match, that's fine. You can swap over to a different tank and you're not penalized for it at all, which is really, really cool. And I'm facing north. So I used the mini-map to try and get my bearings at the beginning of a match and decide where I want to go and how I want to get there. Now, as a light tank, I can be useful possibly as a scout. I do have a gun that I can use as sort of a counter-scouting weapon. It's not very powerful. Against a heavy or a medium tank, I'm in serious, serious trouble. We won't be seeing any heavy tanks in this match because we're not high enough tier, but we will see mediums and lights. We will see artillery and tank destroyers on the other team. So the icons above the tanks all have a meaning. You see the two tanks there. Each one has like a diamond that's split into two. It's like two stripes. That's a medium tank. A square means artillery. A triangle pointing downward is a tank destroyer. A regular diamond is a light tank, like me. And a diamond that's split into three stripes is a heavy tank. So once you get to know what the different symbol icons mean, then you can make strategic decisions based on the icon that you see without necessarily having to identify exactly what that tank is. I'm too busy talking. I'm not even facing the right direction. You can see that red line there is the boundary for the map. You're not allowed to go past that. Hey, I never claimed to be pro. Like I say, I've been playing for 3 or 4 days. And the key here is that on day one I was having fun, and I've been having fun ever since, except for the M3 Lee, which we're talking about in the next video. We're going to move up. Now, the idea here is that there's different things that you can do that will determine whether or not the enemy is able to see you. In tanks with foliage, we use this as an example and try not to get tracked. Yeah, they're on the other side of the map. I can hide in this foliage and see how my tank goes kind of transparent. That tells me that I'm hidden to at least some extent, which means enemy tanks have to get closer to me before they can see me than if I was just sort of sitting out in the open. And the whole idea is that there are times when you want to be hidden, and there are times when you don't mind being seen because you're in a pitched battle. But considering I could probably get one shot by some of the mediums or the tank destroyers in this match, I want to be a little bit careful. So this is the base that we can capture. This is a map where you don't actually... Oh, hello.
That one didn't go through.
We'll talk about ricochets and bounces in the next video.
Man is bleeding. We can't rely on him.
Oh, and the accuracy.
Critical hit. Protect
There we-
Get out.
So that was a tank destroyer that did his job. I did shoot him, and I did 2 points of damage. 2 whole points of damage. And now I can just right-click, and now I get to view the match from this guy's point of view. This is artillery. Unfortunately, we don't get to see him in aiming mode, but we can see him lob flaming death at the enemy, which is kind of cool. We'll be doing an episode on artillery as well. I have my own artillery self-propelled gun. It's actually pretty casual. I find you set up a place to hide, and then you just shoot long range, and if you're smart, you relocate from time to time like this guy's about to do. But realistically, compared to flying around or driving around, it's pretty casual. See, now he's in trouble because he's artillery. He's not really survivable, and his gun takes forever to reload. So if he shoots and misses, or if he shoots and hits and it doesn't kill the guy that's coming after him, he's in deep, deep trouble. So we've got a light tank and a tank destroyer. This is the light tank here. You can see it's the solid diamond shape. There's a medium tank around. This guy's in serious trouble. They have a medium tank and 2 light tanks. So,
The radio man is bleeding. We can't
oh,
rely on him.
that was a good shot. That was between the trains, and this guy's in a bad position because he's got his back to the enemy. And the back end of a tank is the least armored part of the tank. So that was potentially disastrous.
We lost half of our engine power.
And that's it. The match is over. And we lost. So now it'll take us back to the garage, and it's going to give us a report that we can review. So we got 1,892 credits for that match, even though we lost, and 57 experience, which for losing is not bad. You can see we've got things that we did in the match was we spotted these 3 tanks, and this guy, we shot him a tiny, tiny bit. We did 2 damage with 1 penetration. And then down here we've got sort of like daily achievements that you can do. This one is to score a total of 10,000 damage during this particular day, and if I do, I get 25,000 credits, and then there's another one for 25,000. I got the 10,000 damage yesterday, but I'm still kind of learning and also evolving my tanks to the point where I can get it reliably without losing my mind. And we can look at our expenses as well. It's going to give you the breakdown. I fired 5 shots, 2 were direct hits, 1 penetrated, meaning 1 didn't do anything at all. I did a total of 2 damage. I received 2 hits, both penetrated for enough to blow me up. I spotted 3 enemy vehicles. I damaged 1, and I traveled 1.19 kilometers. I think that's what that is. If your tank is damaged or destroyed, you have to pay to repair it. So we made 1,892 credits. We had to spend 513 to repair our tank and 50 to rearm it, put new shells in it to replace the ones that we shot. So I've never had a match where I've lost money at the end of it because of repairs and ammunition costs, but apparently that becomes a potential risk in the higher tiers. So, I mean, it's really straightforward. It's a lot like certain other free-to-play online games where you sign up, get a free account, download the client, play for free. If you want to buy certain things, there are certain tanks that you can buy. There are certain other little perks and things that you can get. It's not pay to win, but we'll save that debate for maybe episode 4. I don't feel like I'm losing anything from the experience by not having yet spent any real money on it. I'm trying to get a feel for it without that, and then later on, when the jury has rendered its decision on whether or not it works without spending money, then I can, get some camouflage or whatever. So that's the first episode. Next episode, like I said, we're going to talk about the M3 Lee, the bastard of the tank world. And we'll get some more matches. We'll get into more matches, and we'll blow up some more tanks, mostly ours. So if you like what you see and you want to give the game a try, there's a link in the information section below the video that will take you to a page where you can sign up, download the client, play for free, enjoy the hell out of the game. It's not going to cost you a cent, but by following that link, you'll also be supporting my channel because it's tracked, and they love me, and they want to pay me for referring people to try the game. So that's the way it works. Please, by all means, leave your comments and feedback. Tell me how much of a noob I am. And we'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for watching, guys, and take care.